Welcome to the JP podcast. I'm your host, John.
I'm your co-host, Tom.
And today is a very special day for me because I have an old Army buddy of mine. And the reason why I asked him to come on is because, he's a cop. And whenever I would hear anything like defund the police or, police being bad and everything like that, he's one of the guys I would think about because, I was in the Army. That's what I was, that's what I did. I was a military policeman, and I had met him in basic training. I mean, day one to all the way through basic training into the advanced individual training, AIT. We were there from day one to the day we left, so our lockers were butted up next to each other, and we became what you would say is brothers, brothers. So he's more than a friend to me, and I just seen him and talked to him. Well, I talked to him a lot, but I've just physically seen him. I haven't seen him since late November, '87, so it was good to see him and everything like that. So
that was the last time you physically saw him.
Yeah, that was the last time I physically saw him. So he's a cop, and he went on to have a good career and everything like that. He's still doing it. So I asked him if he'll be on and let's talk a little bit, and people get to know him and hear his side of the story and everything like that. So let's get started. All right, everybody, here he is, Javier Padilla. Welcome to the show, Javier.
Thanks for the invite.
All right. How you doing?
Good, man. It's a day off. I go back to work tomorrow.
Nice. I wanted to introduce you to Tom. Tom, this is Javier.
Javier, how you doing, bud?
Javier Padilla.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
And
nice to meet you.
I was telling Tom before we brought you on, quick short story of how you and I met, but the show isn't going to be about me, as much as I want it to be, but it's going to be about you. And we met in basic training, and our lockers were right next to each other, with the fact that I'm Parilla, he's Padilla, so we were next to each other for.
They used to confuse us.
Yeah, literally for 4 months, and Javier's a real awesome guy. I learned a lot from Javier because coming from Lorraine, as far as my world was strictly Lorraine, how it is, Tom, growing up.
Yeah.
And I knew a little bit about Chicago and I knew a little bit about New York, but Javier was from the West Coast. So he actually was telling me how it was. And he was the first, I want to say this without insulting, but first real Mexican from the West Coast that I ever met, and he actually introduced me into lowriders. He showed me his car. This is '87. That hadn't hit Lorraine yet, but it's pretty good. But we went in for MPs, and we went through our advanced training, and this is where we're going to start off with, and we're going to go on from there. Is we were in Fort McClellan, Alabama, and at the end of the advanced training, we all come down on orders, and we all went separate ways. Some of us went together, but some of us went separate ways. And Javier, where did you end up going after Fort McClellan, Alabama?
Okay, so I remember I came back home for for leave. I think I even took like 30 days or maybe 15 days, but I know it was a good while. But then I got assigned to Fort Riley, Kansas. It's the big red one.
Yeah. What were you doing there at Fort Riley?
So when I first got there, I was made aware that there were actually 3 places where we would get assigned. One was the first MP company, and then the other one was 977 MP company, and then there was a correctional facility that was on the base, and that's where I got assigned. And we used to call it USACA, and it stood for United States Army Correctional Activity. So I got assigned there. It was basically like physical security, man. We had like guard shacks, checkpoints, and it was a minimum security facility for persons in the Army who got sentenced like for 2 years or under.
Okay. Not the
Anyone who got
serious.
anyone who got like more than 2 years, my recollection, I think it was 2 years, and 2 or 3, but I think it was 2. If they got anything more than that, they went to Fort Leavenworth, and
Okay.
that was in Kansas too. But that I wasn't there.
See, that's probably why I was confused when I was telling Tom before the show. I was like, I think he was at Leavenworth. You had told me years ago, but
Yeah.
I remember you telling me how it was. How was it dealing with them out there? I don't mean them, but with the prisoners per se. How was that?
You know what, man? They did as they were told. I mean, they weren't. I mean, we weren't like. We were basically just like the MP platoon assigned to that base. We weren't actually like, say, the correctional officers who were, most of them were, I say most of them, but some of them like were drill sergeants. They had the, campaign hats, but there were other correctional officers that would, wore the soft caps. They're the ones that actually dealt with them, all the time. We were just, on the towers, we were in the guard shacks. We kind of just patrolled that facility. So our interactions with them were limited. I remember that, one of our things, we would go daily, we go pick up a group of 5 of them, bring them back to the MP station. They waxed the floor and cleaned up the building, and then we just take them back.
Okay, so it was minimum security. There wasn't anybody there for some hardcore crime or anything like that.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
It was it was minimum security, and they actually had options where, if they wanted to go back, there was a unit there, was called MIC, and I believe it was stood for Military Instruction Course, and it was basically, once they were done with their sentence, they can go through MIC, and then they go back, back to the Army and continue to serve.
Okay, yeah, because we had. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just going to ask. I know we talked about John, how you ended up in the military and all that. My question is, did you grow up wanting to be in the military, knowing you wanted to go on with the military police? Is it a path that you started off on, and that's where you ended up?
So that's a good question. It's funny because I talk to my kids about this sometimes, but so I always wanted to be a police officer ever since I was like a kindergarten. I remember I was, 5, 6 years old, and I remember I used to see the fire trucks or the police cars go by, and I was like, man, that's ever since I was a little kid, man, with Hot Wheels, playing with black and whites, So I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Even through, like, when I was going through high school, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And then what encouraged me even more, my sister, she married a guy who he got on the police department. So then I had, someone like, real close to me that was actually on the force, kind of like, led me to believe, hey, you can do it, I can do it,
Yeah, you got to see him.
Yeah, and so I told him, I said, I don't want to go to college, man. I'm just done with school. I just want to get on with my life. I want to start working. I want to start doing something that, will get me into the police department. And I said, I'm thinking about joining the service. And so that's when he told me, he goes, you know what, man, there's a lot of officers that come out of the department that have military background. And that was like, man, he hit me on, it was like, oh, okay, so I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
So I remember I just didn't know which branch. And I remember I went to the Marine office, man, and they didn't convince me. So I walked out of that office, and then I saw a billboard of a MP with a canine, and I said, man, that's it right there. So I walked in there, and what's funny though is, so I get there, and after talking with them, I ended up signing for to be a it was a infantry airborne unit to go to Italy. And man, they sold it. Man, they sold it so well. They were talking about, oh man, you so lucky, you're going infantry airborne to Italy. And so I was going, yeah. So I did it. And then, because they were saying, oh, you don't want to be an MP, man. That's a sorry job. You don't want to do that. So, but the day before I was supposed to leave, man, the night before I said, man, what the hell am I thinking, man? Jumping out of planes. I don't want to jump out of no airplanes,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
So, so that following morning, I called him. I said, hey, I don't know what you did, man, but I don't want to do this infantry airborne thing. I go, I want to be an MP. So he brought me in. He said, okay, you know what? He goes, here's an opening, but you leave in 2 days. I said, well, I don't care. I was supposed to leave today. But you know what he did? He didn't let me go back home. Well, he let me go back home to pack up, and he put me in a hotel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he said, no, I figured he said, no, I'm not gonna let this dude get away.
Yeah.
But
So
that was
he
at
put me
least
in a
worth it, though.
hotel. So he put me in a hotel for like 2 days, and I was on a plane to Alabama.
Wow. And that's where you met John. The next thing you know, you met John.
I met John, and I don't know if I met John in processing.
We did, but I wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember you.
Those are things, man, because I remember I got there. It's so funny. I looked at my itinerary, and it said it said limousine from Atlanta, Georgia to Birmingham, Alabama. And here I am. I'm thinking it's going to be a limousine. Shit, it was a bus. It was
really
just a
big
Greyhound bus.
Yeah, it was a really big limousine, real big one.
So I remember getting on that bus. I was sitting in the back, man. And I remember we arrived on that Army base around midnight, man. I remember it was on close to midnight. They put us in an auditorium, and that's where things changed, boy. They had like a box, where actually it was like a mailbox where you put all your contraband. They said, hey, all this stuff's contraband. And then the processing. I remember I was in processing. You get your hair cut and all that stuff. That was about like a week and a half, and then boom, they put you on a bus, and you go to your company.
Yeah, where did you grow up?
So I was born and raised in San Diego, California.
Okay.
My parents are both from Sinaloa, Mexico, and I'm the youngest of 6.
Wow.
Yeah, the youngest of 6. My right now I'm 52. I'll be 53 next summer. And then but yeah, I'm the youngest of 6. So, and I'm the only one in my family that went into the service, and it broke my mom's heart, man. But I remember my dad looked at her and said, hey, if that's what he wants to do, you gotta let him go.
Nice. So Javier, so you're at Fort Riley, and you're in the I don't know, to me it's IDF, that's what we called the jails, but yours was actually a little bit bigger. I remember you telling me a story when you would walk in, they'd have to jump to attention and everything, and you weren't used to that because here you were still a private, you know what I mean? So how did you like that experience? I remember at the time you were saying it was weird, it was real weird to have that.
Well, anyone that joins the military, after doing like basic training, AIT, and here I am, I'm a brand new private, but now I have my MP gear. I got my Brizard, I got my pistol, my billy club, and my soft cap. So I'm looking the part, playing the part. And so when the inmates used to, if they came, within close to you, they had to stop and go to parade rest, and you basically tell them carry on. And so, man, come on, I was 18.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're young too. Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm big time, man. I'm big time over here in this facility, But yeah, it was a platoon of about maybe 20 to 30 of us. It was, they had a male barracks, female barracks, So
Now, quick question. You said you had a big family, the youngest of 6, and your mom and your dad discussed before you went in. How hard was it for you to leave from one side of the country to the other to start this journey?
Man, I was excited. I was excited to get my life going, but I talked to John about this earlier. I said, man, when I got there, and I say the first couple of days, weeks or 2 of basic training, man, I was like, hey, I'll do anything to get out of here. Yeah. I was like, I remember even telling myself, man, I'll work at, and I'm not, I remember I said, I'll work fast food the rest of my life. I don't want to do this,
Uh-huh.
But, I think it was, I'd never I wasn't a homebody, but I'd never left San Diego.
Yeah.
And again, I was the youngest of six, and my siblings always tell me, man, you had it good. Pops was mean to us, but when he got to you, you got all the, you didn't get any
Yeah.
spanking or anything,
They
So,
were wore down.
but I tell you what, it made me appreciate what I had and what my parents did for me on a daily basis.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I wanted to go back real quick. I remember one time in basic, it was snowing, and we were looking out the window, and he's like, I've never seen snow before. He goes, I would see it up on the mountains, way up on the mountains. So we actually went outside, and I remember
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
He had never seen snow before. And like us coming from this area, that's all we see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we're used to it.
And you know what? Let me tell you, I don't know if you remember, John. We went, it was in August in Alabama. Holy hell, man. Man, we probably dropped like 20 pounds, man. That it was so humid. It was hot. I mean, we were out there. Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, how they say, we do more before 9 a.m. I tell you what, from the time we wake up to the time we're lights out, man, we were doing something. And that was new to me too. It was good. It was good for me, but that was new to me too, man. Doing our own laundry and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you're at Fort Riley and everything. So you do the 4 years, and when it come time to get out, did you want to get out, or were you looking maybe stay in, or what were your plans then?
No, I always had a plan that, I was going to do my 4 years, and then I was going to go back home and be a police officer, in San Diego.
Okay.
And I remember going through, but I did, I did good when I was a good troop, man. I got out as a corporal, and I remember that was one of the things they were trying to keep me in. They were trying. They even sold me and said, "Hey, we'll send you to drill sergeant school. Re-enlist. Stick with us. You're doing good. You're moving up." But I remember I told the sergeant major. I said, I still remember his name, man, Sergeant Major Shanowski. And I remember I said, "Hey, Sergeant Major," I go, "You know what? I appreciate it." I go, "But I want to be a policeman, and I want to go back home and be a policeman." So. Wow. And thankfully, man, it worked out, but it almost did not, and I almost went back in because it didn't happen right away.
Yeah, I didn't think twice about it. I was getting out. You know what I mean? So what?
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. John. No, go ahead.
You said that it didn't happen right away. What do you mean by that? You didn't, when you got out, you didn't go right into the police force?
No, that's what I was going to ask.
Oh, all right.
No, so I applied as an out-of-state applicant. So when I got there, I had already kind of completed some things, but this agency, it takes a while. It takes 6 months to a year before you get the nod of whether you get hired or not. And the thing about it, you can pass everything. The last thing you do is a lieutenant's interview, and the lieutenant basically up or down. If he don't like you, it ain't happening. You could have gone through everything. And I remember that was such a big thing. I was like, man, but what happened to me was, I remember I was working at I was working as a delivery guy at a pharmacy, and when I was going through the application process, the city told me to say, "Hey, you're hired. You're going to go to the next academy." But then about 2 weeks before the academy would start, they called me and said, "Hey, we got a problem with the city budget, so we're not going to be able to fulfill the entire academy. So 20 people have to get taken off the roster, and you're one of the 20. Can you wait 6 months?" I said, "Yeah, I can wait." Well, that 6 months turned into a year and a half. Oh. And so in that year and a half, I almost went back into the Army because, like I said, I was doing good, and I didn't really like what I was doing at the time, But then I remember right before I was, about to leave or go back in the Army, I got a call, and they said, "Hey, you still interested?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Okay, you know what? In 2 months." I said, "Cool." And it worked out. So I got out in August 91 from the Army, and I started the academy May of 93.
Wow.
So it was about a year and a half before it kicked in.
So how did that work out for you? Were you excited? You got in? And what were you doing? What was your first job and all that?
You know what, man? I was excited. I was motivated, but you know what? During the academy, the classroom part, it was like college oriented. You know, it was administration of justice classes. So, I hadn't been in a classroom setting since high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I struggled, but I remember there was this one guy. His name was Jordan Omens. He's still around. He was a psychologist, and he didn't want to do that anymore. So I don't know why, but he wanted to become a police officer. Dude was smart. So I latched onto that dude, and he became a studying partner of mine. I went to his pad, and there was another guy. His name was David Padilla. If you can, no relation, but his name was David Padilla. He was a sheriff's department. And all three of us just studied, and man, that helped me. Nice. I had someone that, because everything else, the other things were like, hands-on, which, that's on you. Whether you can shoot or not, that's on you. Whether you can handcuff somebody, that's on you. Whether you can, wrestle with somebody, that's on you. But the classroom stuff, I struggled because I hadn't been in a classroom setting in a while. And it was so funny. I remember the first test I took, I failed. And in the academy, if you fail, you could fail up to twice. But when you remed, if you fail it again, you're out.
Wow.
Okay. So I remember I failed the first one, and I told the guys, I said, man, I studied. I don't understand why, why I failed it. And the guy goes, what are you studying? I go, I studied the whole chapter. He goes, just like study the syllabus. I go, what's the syllabus? He goes, it's in the back, man. It's just a summary of everything. So I started doing that, in addition to, studying with them, and breeze through, man. Yeah. And breeze through. I just didn't know. I didn't have that college, experience.
Right. Yeah, I could totally understand that. So when you're in, what are you doing? You're on the force and all that. So how's that working out for you back then?
So it takes about a full year before you go through the college portion, the classroom portion of the academy, and then you're on the job, field phases, and it takes about a year before they say, okay, you know what, you're free to go. You're on your own. You get rostered on the schedule on your own. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, man, I remember. So I was fortunate that I got assigned to patrol a neighborhood or not necessarily where I lived, but where I lived close by. So I kind of knew the area. And so I kind of already had a general idea of the gang sets, the black gangs, the Hispanic gangs. I kind of already knew, from high school. Mm-hmm. But I remember the first day coming out by myself. I was excited, but we had a computer in our car. It was called an MDT, it was a mobile data terminal. And there's a button. It was called the 10-8 button. Basically shows that you're in service. And man, that 10-8 button was as big as a cardboard box. So I was like, I'm about to say I'm ready to take calls,
Yeah.
And but it was great, man. I'm fortunate, man, that I'm doing what I love to do.
Yeah. And how long were you on actual, beat on actual street time in the car and on the streets?
So the city of San Diego, we got about, we got almost like 9 divisions. So I was assigned at Southeastern Division, and I was assigned to Southeastern Division for about close to 9 years, when I was then promoted to detective, and then I got assigned to an area station where I basically been a detective. I've done other investigative assignments. But it was in like 2001, 2002 is when I left patrol. I started patrolling like spring of 94, and I left patrol early 2000s, 2001, something like that. And then I've been a detective since then.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back real quick, because he had mentioned, we've been talking back and forth for a couple of days, and You were mentioning when you got on the force, or not on the force, when you got on patrol and everything like that, that's when you were noticing how much people really hate the police. Remember you were saying that, and you thought it was going to be all, I don't
Hey,
know, it's shits and giggles, but it wasn't that for you, was it?
I was so naive, man. I mean, I guess I grew up in a home where, I thought everybody lived the way I did, and I grew up in a predominantly, it was predominantly black, you know, black neighborhood, and it was considered, it still is, the tougher part of, San Diego. But you know what, man? There was structure in my home. My mom and dad, you know, they ran a structured home. We had rules. So whatever dirt we did outside the house, it stopped at the doorstep when we came back. And we never had really any interaction with the police because, we did, you know, we did what we did. We went to school, went to work, and we really didn't cause any trouble, So here I am, man. I'm thinking, what an easy job, man. I just tell people, what to do, and that's it. Oh, hell no. Man, never. I mean, people cuss at you. I mean, no waving. I mean, like a finger in the air. Just nobody does what they're told. And constant. I mean, it was just like I hate to, and not to say not every interaction, but yeah, I was surprised to learn, man, that nobody, I would say nobody, but a lot of people don't do what they're told. And, and you're in fights, tussling when you put handcuffs on, you're just, you're called everything in the book,
Yeah.
but it just, so I quickly learned that that's just part of the job. But then, but it's not, I don't want to say that was everywhere, but man, yeah, you come across, that class,
Yeah. I dealt with that, and that's the reason why I didn't pursue it. I was finding myself towards the end, because in my service, I did a lot of garrison, and I worked with a lot of civilian police departments, and that's how I saw it early on. And I said right away, I'm getting out. I'm not pursuing it at all.
Yeah.
I had made up my mind, because I was like, I'm going to end up getting shot. It was one of those things. So, I wanted nothing to do with it. And wrestling around with somebody just seemed too much like a job. You know what I mean? So I wasn't into that.
But I tell you, man, you also come across a lot of good people, man.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is just our profession. You're just going to come across people that people don't want to deal with.
Right.
That's just the name of the game. You're come on. I mean, we're law enforcement officers, so we're dealing with people that break laws, that aren't structured, that do things they're not supposed to do. Yeah. That's who we come in contact with. And you know what? They don't like you because you're about to stop what they're doing.
Right.
So, and then and for some, you're about to put them away for a while, and they know.
Oh, yeah. And they'll tell it. They'll say, you little interaction I've had and growing up where I had, a lot of people who break law tend to say, "Hey, I'm doing my job. Let them do their job," which is catch me if they can. You know what I mean? That's just kind of the mentality out there, and unfortunately, that's.
And here, I'll tell you something, man. I talked with this one OG Cripster, and he told me, although he's always on the other side, but he told me, hey, we need the police, because if we don't have the police here, it's complete chaos. Mm-hmm. And so here's a guy who understands the game. He knows that he's gonna, he knows what he's involved in. He knows what he does on a daily basis. He knows that, what he's involved in is going to be some interaction with the police, but he also knows that, hey, we serve a purpose to keep a lid on things, because
on chaos.
If you don't have the police to turn to, who the hell are you going to turn to, man?
Right.
It's complete chaos. It would be complete chaos.
I don't want to be in the world without them. I'll tell you that. So you get you are on patrol and you said you got into detective work, what were you doing as far as that? What do you mean by detective work? I don't understand that part.
Okay, so when it's very different. You know, patrol is very different from when you know are an investigator and you work cases. You know, from you know. But so when I was first promoted, I was assigned to Southern Division. I handled basically crimes against property, crimes against persons, you know, felonies, misdemeanors. And then that happened, you know, at the command where I worked. And then I got transferred to domestic violence, where I basically just handled domestic violence cases, you know, but that was citywide. Okay. And then I went to sex crimes, where I handled sex crimes cases, you know, like rapes, you know, other sex assault, you know, crimes like that. Obviously that's the major one, you know, rapes and stuff.
Mhm.
And that was also citywide. And then after sex crimes, I worked homicide for several years. And then after homicide, I went to work robbery night team, which is where I'm at now. I mean, best job I've ever had. I mean, homicide was a good job. I learned a lot. I enjoyed it. But when they said, "Hey, man, you want to get out of that suit and put on some jeans and a t-shirt and come to work on, you know, in an undercover car," easy decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, "Yeah, it's about time to hang this tie up." So I hung it up, and I've been at this assignment since
Yeah.
actually it was 2009.
That's why you were saying you were doing homicide, because I thought that was going to be a pretty stressful job on you. So when you were telling me, you go, no, I loved it. You know, it was a challenge. You know, it took me by surprise. I don't know if I can handle, you know what I mean? I guess you got to disconnect yourself from that in order to do your job.
Totally.
You
Well,
know,
I'll tell you this, man. I try to tell guys for this job, you got to have a sense of humor, man. You really got to have a sense. For me, I got to laugh. I'm just that way, man. I just like to laugh. I like to joke about things. I don't like to, I mean, believe me, I understand what needs to be done. I take things serious, but man, I need a moment to just, you know, just to laugh and joke about things. I know it seems kind of crazy that you would, you know, joke and laugh, you know, while you work in homicide, but you can, and you should, man. You got to, you know, you gotta survive in that, because that was a grueling assignment. It's still a grueling assignment, man, because you're on call so much.
mhm.
And those cases, you got to work those a bit differently than other ones, man, because like I was telling you before, those cases, a lot of them, they go to trial, because you're talking about putting somebody away 20 plus years or maybe the rest of their life. So you know what, they don't get pled out. You know,
Yeah.
you go to trial, and every stone gets you know, turned, because and you know, and they come at you, and I understand they come at you because they want to show, you know, how incompetent you are, and how, you know what, the real guy is out there and you got the wrong guy. And I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So it really, that job, man, it made me a better investigator, but it was
Yeah.
long hours and all that.
You know, the wife and I do a lot of the investigation discovery. I was big into all the homicide and all the detective shows that have been out recently in the documentaries. And I never thought of that side, which you just explained, you know, having to turn every stone strictly for a case. But also, we mentioned how it would be extremely hard to stay emotionally detached from that. You know, you see someone around your daughter's age, or you see someone around your cousin's age, or that looks like that. To stay emotionally detached from that investigation must have been a very difficult thing too.
Dude, absolutely. I was telling John this, that case, or not say that case, but that job, I found no winners, man, because on one side you have you know, the family of the deceased, and then you have on the other side the family of the person responsible, who's very likely going to get, you know, put away for the rest of their life.
Mhm.
And so you see how it destroys, you know, families, how and some of them are so senseless, so stupid, you know.
Mhm.
And but um and you're right that, you know, there's times where you know, I'll see a victim and I'll be like, man, um, my kids got it good.
Mm-hmm.
My have it well. They actually have resources. They live in a home that's, where there's structure. Dude, what in this job, sometimes I've come across some kids where, I mean, how do you expect this person to make it? They live in chaos. They have no structure. Both their parents, he don't even know. They're probably, one's dead or one's locked up, and they're being raised by grandparents or broken families. How do you expect this kid to make it?
Yeah.
So you do see, a segment of society or kids that you just feel like, man, you really got a hill to climb.
Mhm. So, we also talked about being close. San Diego's right on the border there, with everything's going on today, and you hear all these talks about the borders. What's going on there in San Diego?
You know what? I don't spend too much time at the border, but the last time I went there, man, they built it up where it's like because it used to be just like a cheap steel rundown fence, that the border patrol used to patrol it and stuff. But man, you go down to the San Diego or San Isidro Mexican Port of Entry, man, it's they put some money into that. That's a lockdown facility. I mean, they got and the barriers are pretty are pretty modernized. They've really, now I don't know about the further east, Arizona or Texas, but I know here in San Diego, no, it's pretty. They put some money into that, where it's locked down. You can't just like run across anymore. You can't just do that.
I remember a while back, man, must have been about 15, maybe 10, 15 years ago. I wanted to come out there, and you said, man, you come out here, but we can't go down to Tijuana. He said, because they're killing guys like us right now. So I was like, okay, well then maybe next time, you know what I mean? When things calm down.
It's always been a place that you gotta be careful, man. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. But there was a time where, even the Marines or other military personnel, because here San Diego's a big military town. It's Navy and Marines.
Okay.
And they go down there. They used to go down there to party, and not so much anymore, man. I bet you they discourage it a lot. But no, you got your head got to be on a swivel down. I don't even feel comfortable going down there,
Yeah.
But I mean, or if I do, I just try to do a little background to see, where am I going? What's the fastest way to get there? And because they believe me, they care. I mean, tourism is their moneymaker, so they
Right.
want people to come down there, but you also got to be careful, man.
So there's no issues there, it's not like what's going on, like you said, in Arizona and Texas and all that. So it's pretty tight, nobody's coming across. You don't have any issues, but you did mention you see both sides of it. You see both sides of that story.
Yeah, you know what, man? I mean, like I said, I love this country. And like my parents, my dad left Sinaloa, Mexico, and he met my mom down there, and they left this country, and my dad came here, got his green card. He didn't even speak the languages, and he was able to buy a house. Come on.
Yeah.
I can't go down to Mexico and buy a house.
Right.
You got to be a Mexican citizen to purchase land down there, but here you can. So here's my dad was able to buy a home, raise a family. He had Social Security and a pension from the laborers union, where because he was a cement work.
Yeah.
And so here's my dad, man, doesn't even know language, but he's able to purchase a home, able to have 2 pensions. Come on, man. Okay,
Yeah.
you can't. This is a wonderful country, so I don't blame people trying to come here. I don't blame them.
Right.
But also believe we got to have a structure in how you get here.
Mm-hmm.
because I do believe, we ain't got no borders, we ain't got no country.
Right.
I do understand why they want to come here, because this is the greatest country on the planet. It's got its quirks like anything, but come on, man.
Yeah.
This is the best place to be. There's a guy, I don't know I heard him say, he said, and it's so true. We hit the lotto being in this country. We hit the lotto.
Being born in America.
Just being here in this country, you hit the lotto. You did. Because the resources are there. You just got to go get it.
Yeah.
You just got to do it.
It's funny. My dad put on Facebook, and I kind of laughed at it at first, you know what I mean? But I agreed with it at the same time. Is, right now up here, we're dealing with these companies can't find anybody to come work, and it's like that all over. And my dad said, why don't they hire these so-called illegals and let them fill the jobs, and then let's see what the people complain about after that, but that's how my family got here. Not so much illegally, we were American citizens, but all these companies reached out to Puerto Rico and brought them over. They could do the same. There's a lot of people down there that want to work.
Listen, man, I'm gonna share something with you, and it's factual because I see it with my own eyes. Okay, when I'm driving around and I look at rooftops, like where people are like, laborers are up there stripping roofs, laying roofs, or working out, laying cement, all those jobs that are like hands-on, a lot of them are Mexicans, man.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's that's what I see. And then when I go up to Interstate 5 and I look at all the where the strawberries and all this stuff that has to be picked, come on, man, that's hard work. And when you look out there, number Mexicans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they're workers.
But it's like, if you knew, or I can only imagine where they come from, they feel like they hit the lotto, if they can put, just the small things to them is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I get it. I get why. I don't blame them. I get why they want to come here. I get it.
Yeah. Tom, you got anything?
No, I don't have much more. I do have a little, just a side bit more on the detective part. What is it actually that you do now? You said that you're in jeans and a t-shirt doing under bank protection pretty much.
No, so basically right now, I work on the night team, and so my hours are 2:00 to midnight, and it's about 4 or 5 of us detectives and like one supervisor, and so we basically handle all commercial robberies that happen in the city, all kidnappings, all home invasions, all carjackings, extortions for ransom, and then we also, because we're in plain clothes and we have undercover cars or just regular cars, we also handle any kind of surveillance operations that are necessary that other units need. If they need us to surveil a house, or if they need us to follow somebody, or we have to go up on somebody's phone to locate them. That's the kind of work that we do.
Gotcha. And being a nighttime guy myself, I'm sure after years on the force, the fluxing of the hours isn't anything new, huh? The 2 to midnight's probably just another shift, huh?
Well, I personally love 2 to midnight because after 5 o'clock, the headquarters is like a ghost town. All the brass and all upper, so there's only a couple of units that are still in the building, and so after 5, it's just But then also, being able just to sleep in. I probably turn in like around 2-3 in the morning, wake up like around 8, 9, and then I pretty much got everything till 2 p.m.
Nice. Yeah.
But right, yes, but we also handle like robbery series. And let me tell you, man, I just finished doing a robbery series that involved a minor. He was only 17 years old, man, but he did about 15, liquor store robberies in our city and did a couple more in other cities. It kind of went over about 2 months. But man, that dude had me working, still got me working.
Yeah, it's still.
But it's what's funny is that, you know, I'm having to do like, this is new to me. It's kind of crazy. This is new to me now, doing search warrants for like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. These, you know, those social media. I'm not. This is new to me, having to do search warrants to get those type records. But that's what all the kids use, man.
Yeah.
Those kids, they're up on Instagram, Snapchat, and a
That's
lot
their
of them.
digital fingerprint. They're leaving it everywhere.
Oh man, the amount of information that is stored and that can be collected, it's crazy. Makes you want to throw your phone away.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people say that. It is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you could talk about some and there's a commercial on it on Facebook,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Or an advertisement.
And you know how Snapchat, you know, they say that, you know, oh, you know, it's just on it and this deletes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'll go ahead and let you keep thinking that. Nothing.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
I mean, there are some things. I mean, you do gotta, you know, you do gotta let those social media companies know that, hey, you know, you need to preserve this stuff, you know. But for the most part, man, and the thing is these, like I said, that's what these kids are using. They're just using and see, it's a double-edged sword because, you know, when they're doing their crimes, you know, that's how they get their street credits, by posting it. Posting, you know, what they've done or what they've taken. But, you know, but you know, that's what we use to you know, to use against them. But they need to post that stuff because they gotta get their street cred, you know.
Right.
And it's almost like impossible to survive without a phone. That phone, you know, it's plotting where you're at all the time.
Yeah, it's pinging every time.
All the time.
Every towers.
You know, we were talking yesterday, and I mentioned to him, you know, when all that started going down with when they were Mr. Floyd, you know, when that all went down, and you know, people were talking bad about cops, and I, you know, I saw both sides, you know, and people just got to understand, I'm going to see both sides because some of my closest friends are cops, you know what I mean? They went on to be cops, guys I met before they were cops. You know, they were military policemen, or, you know, even guys I grew up with in Lorraine. But it's always going to be, I'm always going to have the respect for them. I know there's some bad ones, you know what I mean? And I was telling him, and when they were protesting like they did it here in Cleveland, they were protesting, and I was like, yes, you know, you're doing it. And then it just went off into left field, you know what I mean? And I'm like, you blew it. You blew it, because there's a chain of command you don't really you don't understand that there is, and it works like that, and they had the police attention, and maybe, you know, the things they wanted to get fixed would have got fixed, but by turning it into a riot because they were angry, you know what I mean, and that was quotation marks, you know,
outside,
they ruined it. You know what I mean? It's like, why'd you go that way with it? You had their attention. There is a chain of command, and you could have went through the right channels and taken care of all of it. So now it's like, nothing was taken care of. We voted for the same people. They're all back in there. Nothing really changed, in my opinion. You know, my issue I felt that they were right there on the verge of actually making change for the better. And it didn't turn out to be a lot of that. You know, last year was a pretty weird year for everybody, you know, as far as, you know, politics. That was very, very much like a religion for everybody. And then we had COVID, which they shut down the country. So, you know.
And just to touch on it, I just feel as both sides, you know, it's the media and the coverage. So we talk about social media and all that. So whatever information you want to get, you can find it. You just have to look at whatever sites tell you what you want to hear. and you're going to find exactly what you want to hear.
You know who I follow a lot and I listen to when it comes to law or political stuff like that is Judge Joe Brown. I love that guy. You know what I mean? Because he talks about it strictly by the law. He's not looking at it by opinion. He talks about the law, and I love the way he does it because he'll slam anybody if it's he's like, no, here is the law. This is how it's supposed to be. And it makes you look at, it makes you think about a few things like, oh, okay, I didn't really think about that. I guess that is, how it should be, because it's the law, so that's how I look at things. I don't try to watch too much. I got a little bit caught up because I was just trying to learn the politics itself because I was never involved, didn't care, but it was something I needed to know because it was everywhere. You know what I mean? It was a virus, another virus, so the politics. So I had to learn it.
And you know what, man, I talked to you about this, man. And this is just, my opinion. It has really nothing to do with, like the defunding the police, like I was telling you yesterday, or when we talked, the police department, all the police departments in this country, it's like a pillar. It's a structure of our lives or how our society runs. And I really believe that it's about just, it's persons in this, country that they want to tear it all down, man. And the way to do it is to get rid of, that pillar, and that's law enforcement, local law enforcement, and that's bad, man. That's bad. We're the United States of America, but each state is different. Each city is different. Every city, every county, every state, they do things different. We don't just run things one way,
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the system where, you let the local departments handle their business.
Yeah. I don't have an issue with cops. I love them. You know what I mean?
I tell you, hey, and like I was telling you yesterday, come on, every organization has bad apples, and I'll just speak for our department. Our department, we have an internal affairs unit that handles, complaints when it's like, policy or if there's a complaint, regarding someone's policy and not criminal. Okay. If there's like an allegation of an officer, committing a criminal act, we have what is called as a professional standards units, PSU, and they handle that, and for the most part, man. And now officers, our department, we wear body cams. So, we do a pretty good job of policing ourselves, man. You're going to have some people that disagree with it, but I think for the most part, we do a pretty good job about that. Now we wear, body cams, and hey, look at the fucking body cam. If you have an issue, the body cam is right there, and there's officers that are getting honked if they don't have it on. So the department knows, hey, you need to have that thing on, because we don't want to be addressing the media saying that, unfortunately, his body cam wasn't on, it was off. Yeah. So and actually, it was still so funny is, I'm not certain of this, but the groups that wanted us to have body cams, now they don't want us to have body cams, because with these body cams, what's been happening, man, for me as a detective, I pull those body cams and I'm making cases on them, because like a guy who is being contacted by the police a week before he does his crime, guess what? He's wearing the same shit. now I got video of you, being contacted by the police, in this garb that you do a robbery a week later. Yeah. And I can use it,
Wow.
or they don't want to play those cameras in front of a jury, because sometimes, man, it's really not the police that that act, out of control. It's that defendant sitting at that chair
Yeah.
who
That say
you're
some
getting
things.
who you're getting a really good look at how they
Mhm.
really are in at the time, and not why they're cleaned up here,
Now with
you
the
know, in
polo
the
on and
courtroom.
the khakis.
Exactly. You're getting exactly what we have to see or what we have to deal with, and they don't want to play that.
Yeah.
So it's worked out for us. It really has. Those body cams, there's still some agencies I think out there that that don't have them, but they should, man, because for the most part, it puts everybody on notice, and that's okay. It puts everybody on notice. Hey, we on camera. We on camera. So you know what? Tighten it up.
Yeah, that's good. I agree with that. And there is some good coming out of this. So there are some changes within the police departments. And it's like you're saying, hey, they're getting on us now if we don't have them on,
Yeah.
and maybe 10 years ago that wasn't a thing. You know what I
Oh,
mean? So
just like anything, man, we all hate change. Okay. I remember when I first came on, I wrote my reports, it was pen and paper, and then when we went to laptops, I was like, oh man, I want to, I don't want to, learn something new with these damn laptops. I had like every color whiteout you can think of, from, in my posse box,
mhm.
but when we went to laptops, it was something, something learned, something new I had to learn. But shit, man, I was able to knock out reports much faster. It was quicker. I loved it. Same thing with body cams. Like, oh, here goes another device we got to fucking put on. But then after a while, you realize, hey, this fucking this, I don't have to really write much on my report. I'll just say, look at the camera, see video.
Nice.
It tells it all.
Video.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
no, you know what? I'm I didn't tell you this, but so I have three sons. My oldest one is like 32. My middle one's 25. My youngest one's 17. My 25-year-old is on the police department. He's working at the command where I started out. That's where he's at right now.
Wow.
And it was so funny.
Awesome.
What's so funny was that he didn't want to be a police officer, man. Not at all. He wanted to get into computers and that kind of stuff. But then I kind of helped him apply with this. It was like a part-time job with the city where they did traffic control, and it was just for special events. And he did that, and he then he interacted with some young officers, and he said, hey, I want to do this. I said, well, go through the process, man. And so he went through it, and I tell him all the time, I say, hey, there's always gonna be people that are gonna say, hey, you got this job because of me, but that's not the truth, man. You know very well, you took those tests, all those fucking tests that you got to take, those state tests are required, hands-on or in the classroom. You took them, you did it, you went through the process applying, you went through the polygraph, you went through the interview. So congratulations, you got it.
Nice.
Yeah, he's out on the streets, so that's that's him making it.
Yeah, so I was happy, man, because I know that he'll be, as long as he keeps his nose clean, he'll be taken care of. But yeah, he's working in a time where very different from me, man. It's a different world out there,
Oh yeah.
It's nice talking with Javier about this, because usually when we're talking, we're not talking about too much about police stuff. We're just talking over memories and guys we know, but it's good to when I approached them and asked them, hey, you come on the show, because I think about guys like him. I got maybe about 4 or 5 other buddies that continued on also, you know what I mean? And you are the guys I think about when all this stuff is going down. I just want you guys to be safe. I know when we talk out here, we're shooting the shit, and, and he's reminding me of stuff, a little, some embarrassing stuff during basic training there, so I'm like, I don't want to remember that one, but
I can only imagine you in your thin days, you know what I mean?
It was what's crazy, 34 years ago, man.
I was
just thinking about 34 years ago.
I was telling my wife, I said the last time I saw him, it was the end of November, and because I think I took 30 days off of 87. That was it. We
Yeah.
talked. Maybe I saw a picture here and there on Facebook, and because he didn't do much on Facebook, and that was it.
Yeah. No, I probably
That was
say
it.
I don't. You know what? I don't do Facebook, man. I sent you a picture. You know what? For me, man, that social media stuff. It's you know what? I just I don't know, man. Just kind of just doesn't. I mean, I'm aware of it. I know kind of how to use it, but nah. It's just. I've heard so many bad things about it. I just choose to stay.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
I get it.
But hey, I'm coming out there, man. I gotta pick up a prisoner up there at gotta pick. That's another thing we do is we do extraditions. We pick up guys that are in other states that are wanted in our city. So there's actually the guy, he's in Port Clinton. He's in a jail facility
Up
in
by
Port Clinton.
Sandusky and all that.
So
Yep.
it's a murder rap. It's a murder case.
Wow.
So me and my partner, we're gonna go pick him up and bring him back here.
Yeah,
wow.
we were going over. He was like, should I stay in Port Clinton, drive out to Cleveland, or could I stay in Cleveland? I said, man, I'll stay in Cleveland area. That's what I would do.
And then on the way back, pick them up.
Yeah.
And what's and that's when we do those assignments, we go through a side door with the TSA.
Okay.
Because obviously, we're armed. So we have to enter a different way. But when we have our, and the airline or the pilot, he knows, we introduce ourselves and we get on the plane first. They put us all the way in the back, and we basically handle the prisoner, in the back of the plane. So we're like the first ones to get on, but the last to get off. But it's a pretty cool, that's another additional assignment. It's pretty cool. Sometimes we add days. Like one time I had to pick up a guy in Hawaii, so I added 2 days there. Of course out of pocket, but I had never been to Hawaii, so I was there 5 days instead of 3.
I couldn't do that sitting there with a guy, prisoner and everything. I'd be like,
a lot of times, man, they just can't wait for you to come pick them up because.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, man. Most of the time I get there, they're like, God, thank God you're here, man. I can't stand one more day in this facility, And
they're usually in a county jail somewhere in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, they're for the most part, the jails are, here in California, they're not too bad, but in some they're not too, they're not.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they're happy, and I just tell them straight out. I just say, hey, man, listen, just no fun business, man. Just put your hands in your pocket. It's just a real, we're going to try to make it seem like you just rolling with us. We don't want anyone to know, your situation. Try to hide the can't hang up stuff, but and most of the time, man, it's easy. It's easy stuff.
That's
all right.
cool.
Well, Javi, I'm gonna wrap it up, and I don't know how long I can get, but I really appreciate you coming on here and chatting. I'm going to see him next week, actually, when he comes in, and we're going to catch up.
Yeah,
nice.
And I just want to let everybody know, I had to do one on Javier because he was the first. He was the first brother I made in the service. And you don't ever forget that. I don't even know how to compare it to, because I with this guy for 4 months every day, and we went through everything together, our ups and downs, and I told him yesterday, I said, if it wasn't for you, I think mentally they would have broke me. You know what I mean? Because it would just it's a mind game. You know what I mean? Now I probably physically I couldn't do it. Now it wouldn't bother me. You want me to go for a 12-mile walk? Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's funny. When I went to the police academy, it was they try to do it kind of like the military, but I was like, man, this is nothing. Because at the end, so I was standing there like, they of course, they try to do the military kind of, yelling at you and stuff. I go, man, this is nothing, man. I go, this is nada, but no, it's my oldest son, he went through, he went through the Air Force, And a lot of people think, man, the Air Force that, it's easier. No, it's harder because they, they think, or they hear that, oh, the Air Force is here. So what do you think those drill sergeants do? They come at
Harder, yeah.
you, man.
Wow.
So the Air Force, they not basic training AIT, man. They're even harder because they know that recruits are coming in with that mindset. Oh, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be easier. It's not gonna be like Marines or Army, And it actually, man, my son who went through the Air Force, he told me, so I said, damn, man, that's pretty
like I said, I really appreciate you coming on here. I have much respect for you, Javier, and I'm also gonna put up some pictures of this guy. I got some good pictures, and he's gonna send me a few. I want to get a couple in there, and I'll be putting them up throughout if I can get some pictures of him while he was at Fort Raleigh, and as he became an officer, if he's got some of him younger there too. I want to put those up, but yeah, I appreciate it, Javier. And like I said, I use this platform for veterans if they want, as an outlet, if they want to say something, whether I agree with it or not, you know what I mean? I'm going to let them say what they got to say. So, it's not a point of, I let you say what you got to say. As far as me and Tom, we got to be careful because we just started this little platform, and we don't want to get kicked off, 4 shows in, you know what I mean? Because I think we're having too much fun with this. But
I appreciate you coming, Javi. I appreciate talking to you. It was good meeting you and learning about you.
Likewise, Tom, man. I hope maybe one day we can meet in person. It was nice meeting you, man. And but hey, though, I'll tell you, a lot of people say, "Hey, man, thanks for your service." Thanks for Let me tell you, it was the best thing. It's the best thing I ever did. Best decision I ever made. And you know what? It's so cool to meet so many people from different parts of the country at that age. I'll never forget it, man. I'll never. And it's it's hard. It's something, and it's like, man, I can't wait till these 4 years are over with. But when I look back, oh man, that was an experience. And I actually, I try, I don't try to encourage people, but I say, hey, it's not a bad thing to do, man. It really is to do. I mean, I know they push college a lot, which is good. But I think serving your country, because I didn't know much about America until I joined the Army, man. I learned a lot about the country, learned a lot about patriotism, so I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not a bad thing, man. It's wonderful. I'm glad I did it.
Well, if anybody got any questions, make sure you comment below. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're still needing some subscribers. Not still needing. We appreciate the ones we have. You know what I mean? We're moving right along, taking it day by day. But if you have any questions for Javier or anything like that, just comment below. And I'll pass it on to him. And I'm sure he subscribes to the show. Well, he better. You know what I mean? So, thank you once again, Javier, and you be safe out there. And tell the family I said hello, and you take it easy.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.